Hey everyone, Anthony Gerbi here with another edition of Thursday Thoughts, and this week, Political Chaos edition. As you probably have heard, and if you haven't, where have you been? Maybe on vacation. President Biden has decided to drop out of the election, which is different than dropping out of the presidency or resigning the presidency altogether. So he's not running for re-election anymore. Where does that leave us, and what possible market implications might there be from this move? And I'll start this off in the obvious place, which is, yes, more uncertainty usually doesn't work well for the market, but the markets have reacted to this just fine. Is that because a process still has to play itself out? Maybe. It certainly seems like Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee. That seems to be where things are going, but that's not certain yet. So maybe there's a chance that we're just waiting to see kind of who the official nominee is, and that may not happen till the Democratic convention in August here. But for me, taking the actual politicking out of the equation, the three things that stand out as far as this election and where policy could go that affects the market are these three things: taxes, trade, and inflation. And I would love to have found a word that started with T for inflation to make it the three T's, but I couldn't think of it. Inflation's really the right word, so here we go. Taxes. What will become of the 2017 Trump tax cuts? It has been said that the Republicans, if they are in control, certainly of Congress, but especially of the White House as well, would like to make those tax cuts permanent. What would that do to our deficit? What would that do to our economic growth? I think that is worth thinking about. And what the answer to that is totally depends on how they extend it. So I can't give you a definitive answer there, but that will play an impact, or that will play in to how the market feels about the policies of the next administration. Trade. What are we going to do about tariffs? Will we implement more tariffs? Will we do less tariffs? Will we keep what we have the same? And I think both parties have come out more of a pro-tariff stance lately. So that's one that I think the market's going to watch very closely. That one could be actually sneakily more impactful even than the taxes. If tariffs become too high, that could be bad for the market. But it's an if, and it's if they are too high, not necessarily if they exist at all. Okay? And then inflation. And this is the one that the news is going to talk about the most. Based on where taxes go, based on where our federal deficit goes, based on where our economy goes, which frankly in large part has very little to do with who's sitting in the White House, what will inflation do? Will it continue on this downward trajectory? The markets have moved a little bit, both since the Republican convention and since Biden has dropped out, to estimate that inflation will stay a little bit higher for a little bit longer. That seems to be becoming the consensus. That may have had very little to do with the politics of the situation. It just might have been timing. But it does seem like we're going to be north of 3% inflation for probably most of next year, if I had to guess, and that's what the projections seem to be. So if we can stay in that range and maybe just a little bit less than that, that would probably be good, heading towards our ultimate goal of getting back to 2% inflation. So there's a lot yet to be determined, but with the political chaos, I think the markets have taken it in stride, and that's always good to see. Tune in next week for next week's chaos edition. Who knows what's going to happen in the next week here.